Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. For those of you that joined my channel for my branded content, I apologize. It's been a while, but I do have something new, something that's been a long time coming that I kind of mentioned that I would put out a while ago, but just haven't gotten around to it until now. I want to show how I would build branded on a budget. I think the strategy has to be completely different. I would not try to build kind of like a toned down version of the full budget branded. I think you have to go in a totally different direction. So for the full budget branded, you pretty much build a board of just layered interruptions, ignoring the gimmick puppet lock, which is annoying. You have Mirror Jade, you have a revive on Mirror Jade, you have Guardian Chimera, you have Mercurier in hand for a negate. You have like banishment set, for example, or some other stuff. That's not really the strategy that I would recommend taking if you don't have all of the cards that make that all come together. I'm going to show you how I would play branded on a budget, and really this is just a way to turbo out a different type of interruption that a lot of decks just have a hard time dealing with straight up. This deck has a little bit of a harder time going second because of the engine requirements for how I'm going to build it, but I think it's going to be good, and I think, we're going to have a bit of fun going over this. I'm going to do some test hands after I show you the deck profile, so let's go ahead and jump on in, and I'll explain to you guys as we go why I'm picking what I'm picking, what you can replace this with if you do have a little bit more of a budget. So in general, for this budget build, I'm assuming we do not have a Bestial Lubellion, we do not have any Blazing Cartesias, we don't have any Quem, we don't have pretty much anything over like $10. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in here. A quick heads up, I'm sorry, I am proxying a couple cards that I just don't have enough copies of. Just bear with me. I don't think there should be really a problem in understanding what's going on, but we're gonna roll with it and see what we can come up with. So yeah, let's jump on over to the deck list. Okay, so I have a main and extra for you guys. I'm gonna give a little spoiler. This deck is Masquerade Turbo, and I think that's really the best way to go about playing the deck. A lot of decks have a hard time playing against 2 to 3 Masquerades. If you end on 2 Masquerades, your opponent can activate at most 6 card effects. And if you end on 3 Masquerades, they can activate at most 4 card effects. So that's pretty much what we're going to go for. We're going to try to lock our opponent down, set up 2 to 3 Masquerades plus some interruption, and hopefully just use that interruption on anything that would negate one of our Masquerades and just sit on that until we win. So let's go ahead and jump on in. I think there's a lot of advantages with this strategy that the full budget branded build does not really get. So we're gonna have to just maximize those and see how it goes. So let's start with the main deck. Please ignore the rarity of the cards. Obviously, get the low rarity if you want to play on a budget. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump on in. So for the Despia cards, we are playing 3 copies of Alibur, and then in this build we're going to be on 2 copies of Tragedy because we need to have enough Despias to reliably fuse into Masquerade enough times. So we do need to play a higher Despia count than we would if we were playing the full budget branded build. And for that reason, we're going to be playing 1 Adlib and also 1 Dramaturge. I think Dramaturge is actually a really good card. It's unfortunate that we don't play it in full budget. It's just not as good as the other cards that are available, but Dramaturge is still really solid, and if you can set up 2 Masquerades and a Dramaturge, you're going to have a fair bit of protection for your Masquerades. So I think that's going to work out quite nicely, and I really like this particular Despia lineup. For the rest of the engine monsters, we're going to be playing 3 full copies of Albaz and 1 copy of Springin's Kit. Kit is just for more consistency, and we are playing a copy of Sprint in our extra deck so we can summon Kit in the end phase, search branded in red, and so forth. So yeah, Kit's it's something we have to play. And then 3 cards that I'm playing in this build to really facilitate more Masquerades are the 3 one-of Tearlament cards. And these are all, at most $1 is Sheeran, and the other two are like 10 cents. But yeah, Merle, Sheeran, and Havness. So if you guys are not familiar, whenever tier limit cards are sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can activate an effect to fusion summon using the tier limit card and another card in your grave, hand, or field. Shuffle those into the deck and then fusion summon. So pretty much our strategy is going to be getting one Masquerade using a Despia and a tier limit card, and then the tier limit will activate, shuffling itself and the Despia back in for the second Masquerade. So that's going to be fairly easy to facilitate and fairly consistent by playing these three. We're not playing Rhino Heart, we're not playing Perla Rhino, both for budget reasons and for space reasons, and just we want to use our normal summon on Aluber straight up. So just the three tier names is going to be fine. And I am playing other monsters in this deck, but just I want to keep them with their own respective packages. So for now, I'm just going to scoop these up here and move on to the spell cards. Yeah, so I'm going to do this deck by package rather than by monsters, spells, and traps. So here's our engine monsters, and then let's go on to our branded spell cards, our branded cards. We have 3 copies of Branded Fusion, of course, 3 copies of Branded Opening, which might be the most expensive card in the deck, and then we have 1 copy of Branded in Red, 1 copy of Despia Theater of the Branded, the field spell. So you don't really see this in the full budget build, but in this build we need more ways to fusion summon, especially using stuff from our hand. If we draw the tier limit monsters, we want to be able to fuse them off and then use their effects. So this is a searchable polymerization, searchable by Aluber. So if you already have Branded Fusion, this is your next best target. It just facilitates getting more Masquerades more easily. And then the last branded card we're playing is 1 copy of Branded Banishment, the trap card. Not playing Retribution here, because without Grand Guignol and without Saronir, getting Retribution to the grave is just not that reliable. So Banishment is nice. We can revive a Despia and then hopefully fusion summon using an opponent's dark or light monster into another Masquerade, or we can revive a Mirror Jade if we decide to go that route. So yeah, this is the full lineup of branded cards, and now let's move on to the more like non-engine stuff. For consistency, we're playing 3 copies of Allure, 1 Goldstark and 1 Foolish. So Goldstark, you can banish a Tragedy from your deck to search Aluber. Foolish, same thing. You can send a Tragedy from your deck to search Aluber, or Foolish, you can also just Foolish a tier limit name to fusion summon. So if you have a Despia in your grave, that turns Foolish Burial into a Masquerade, because you just Foolish a tier limit shuffles back itself and the Despia to bring a Masquerade out. Allure is nice because we have 2 Despia and Tragedy to banish. So if you resolve Allure and banish Tragedy, you're in pretty good business. So just some consistency is needed for this deck. And then for the other packages, we're playing the Fright for Patchwork engine. We're playing 3 copies of Engine Chain, 2 copies of Patchwork, and then a full 3 copies of Polymerization. This is where I'm proxying here. I only have 1 copy of Poly for some reason, but yeah, we just need to find these to fusion summon with stuff from our hand, essentially. And Engine Chain is really nice discard fodder for Lubellion, the fusion. And we have 3 Allure of Darkness, so if we brick on the Engine Chain, hopefully we can allure 1 away. And we can just use Engine Chain as the dark material for Masquerade sometimes. So that's kind of nice, and it comes up, and I think this is going to be a solid package, and I think this is one of the best packages to play in a budget branded build. Okay, and now the last package is kind of, I don't know, optional or something, but the way I'm going with it is playing the Kaiju package. I'm playing 3 Kaiju Slumber, 2 of the Dark Kaiju, and then 1 each of the Light Kaiju. I don't have a Jizukiru on me, so I just have 2 of the Thunder King Kaiju, but you should definitely play 2 different names. Play 1 Jizukiru and 1 Thunder King, and that will be good. You want to play the Dark and Light ones because you can use them to make Masquerade on turn 1, so they're not totally dead. You can use Kaiju Slumber as discard fodder for Lubellion, so you can search a Kaiju on your next turn. So this is kind of a nice package. And that rounds out the deck at 43. Another option is to play the Super Poly package instead, which is just 3 Super Polys in your main deck. But that assumes you can afford a Garura. And this being a budget build, I decided not to include Super Poly because Garura is like $25 or something. So if you were to play Super Poly, play one Garura, one Mudragon in your extra deck. There's plenty of space in the extra deck in this particular build. So, but for budget reasons, we're just going to go with Kaijus as our board breakers. And also we have Guardian Chimera as our board breaker as well. It's one of the benefits of playing Polymerization is being able to go into Guardian Chimera really effectively and get the protection. So yeah, that's going to come up. Guardian Chimera is probably the other expensive card in the deck. It's like $8 a copy, and I would recommend 2, which we're going to get to. So for the extra deck, we are playing... Whoa, let me move that here. We're playing 2 Mirror Jade, 2 Lubellion, 2 Albion, 1 Brigand, and 1 Sprint. Brigand and Sprint are good because we're playing Branded Banishment. Sprint is good as well if we want to send it with Mirror Jade to summon the Springin's Kit in the end phase. Brigand, we're not playing any Tri-Brigade Mercurier in this deck, so you could replace Brigand with Titaniclad, which might actually be the wiser choice, but it's still good. It provides good protection for your fusion monsters, so if you want to protect your Masquerades, we can summon Brigand to make sure they stick and make sure we resolve our win condition. And now the rest of our extra deck, we're playing 1 copy of Dragostapelia. Very easy to summon because we're playing so many fusion cards. Playing 1 Despian Queritus, which is a nice option to go into if we don't want to go for Masquerade, but we need to beat over something for a lot of damage or to finish the game. Queritus is very nice for that. We're playing the full copies of 3 Masquerade because we're trying to end on 3 of them as much as we can. And it's not very difficult. Hopefully we'll see in the test stands. Hopefully they cooperate. And then 2 copies of Guardian Chimera. This is your best going second tool in your extra deck. Destruction plus draws is just very good all around. We have several ways to make it with the field spell, with the polymerizations. We're playing 3 polys plus 2 patchworks plus 3 edge chains to search the patchworks. So very consistent, very able to go into Guardian Chimera if you want to. So yeah, this is going to be our extra deck, 15 cards. Again, our focus is turboing out Masquerade on turn 1 as much as possible. And if your opponent does not have a Dark Ruler no more, it's very difficult to deal with these. Yeah, I think it's the best strategy for a budget branded build is just to go for a more of a Despia package rather than a like Cartesia with Grand Guignol and all that kind of stuff package. So this is going to be the build that we're going to roll with. And now let's go ahead and do some test hands and hopefully show a few combos that can get us into multiple Masquerades at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle up the main deck here and hopefully draw something relevant. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because this was sorted, and let me shuffle. Okay, so we have shuffled up the main, got our extra deck over here. The only proxies in the main are polymerization, so any blank cards are poly. And now let's go ahead and cut the deck. And now let's draw our 5 cards. 1 Tragedy, 1 Adlib, 1 Havness, 1 Radiant, and 1 Kaiju Slumber. So this is an example of an absolutely garbage hand. And hopefully we're going second. And if we are going second, we draw the Dramaturge and we suck. So let's go ahead and do a redraw, because naturally we do not draw anything playable in our test hand video. So let's go one more time here. 1 Shiren, 1 Poly, 1 Patchwork, 1 Branded Opening, and 1 Allure. Okay, this is like a god hand. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Let's go ahead and decide what we're gonna do. So we're gonna start by, let's see, we're not gonna go draw phase, Branded Opening, because we don't have anything we want to discard, but if we activate Patchwork, we will. So let's go main phase, activate Patchwork, search our copy of Edgent Chain and Polymerization, which is the proxy. That's good. Let's move the extra over here. Okay, and now we are going to go for Branded Opening. Actually, let's go for Allure here. Let's allure away. Yeah, let's allure away the Edgent Chain first. We get another opening and an Adlib. Okay, that's good. And now let's banish the Edgent Chain. And now let's go for branded opening, discarding the other branded opening to summon a copy of Aliber. Now, of course, this is like Dream Yu-Gi-Oh! Where everything resolves, but let's see what happens. So we get Aliber effect, and we search branded fusion here. So now this is our hand, and we're going to activate branded fusion now, sending a copy of Despian Tragedy plus Fallen of Albaz. So this will get us Lubellion, Dramaturge. Let's go ahead and summon out Lubellion here. Okay, Lubellion can discard a card. We're going to discard a copy of Polymerization because we're only going to need one more. And then the Tragedy effect will activate as well, searching a Dramaturge. And now let's go ahead and fusion summon into a Masquerade. So we're going to shuffle back our Tragedy Engrave, right? And our Lubellion, and go into our first Masquerade. Now, of course, you could go Mirror Jade here, so we could either end on double Masquerade plus one Mirror Jade, or we could just go for the full triple Masquerade. So we're gonna just do the full triple just to see how relatively simple it is. So Branded Fusion is in the grave. Now we're gonna activate a copy of Polymerization, and we're going to fuse away our copy of Dramaturge and Shiren to summon a second copy of Masquerade. And now we will activate both Shiren and Dramaturge. Dramaturge will summon itself. Shiren will activate shuffling itself and our Aliber into the deck to summon our third Masquerade. So that hand ended on triple Masquerade plus Dramaturge, and that's pretty much what we were going for. We still have Adlib in hand. Not that it will really do anything for us anytime soon. So that was the first legit test hand. Now let's go ahead and do one or two more here. Shuffling up. Okay, let's go ahead and draw another test hand. We have a copy of Foolish, Branded Banishment, Poly, Havness, and Tragedy. Okay, let's see what we can do with this. So let us see. I think we can start with the copy of Poly and just fuse away Tragedy, Havness into our first Masquerade, and then we will activate Tragedy and Havness. So we'll just do Tragedy Chainlink 2, searching our Aliber, and then we will go for Havness Chainlink 1, resolving, shuffling those back for the second Masquerade. So that was pretty easy enough. Let's normal summon the Aliber now, go for Branded Fusion, naturally. Now Branded Fusion doesn't even have to resolve here to get us our third Masquerade, because Foolish Burial on a different tier name will just shuffle the tier and the Aliber back in for the third mask. So even if Branded Fusion gets stopped, we're in business. But let's just go ahead and activate Branded Fusion, and we will dump Albaz. I might even consider holding Branded Fusion in my hand here. Let's not activate it. Let's just go Foolish for Shiren. I think I activated, it was Havness I had in hand, right? And then we go Shiren, shuffle back Aliber, summon the third Masquerade. And now Branded Fusion, if we get ashed, it'll cost them 1800 life points and an ash. So that's kind of entertaining. We'll go for, we can just go Albaz plus the Light Kaiju, honestly, to summon an Albion. And then we'll go Albion effect, banishing itself and Albaz for the Mirror Jade. So, yeah. Or we could summon a Dragos Depelia, but no reason not to summon the Mirror Jade here. And now Banishment. If they clear the Mirror Jade, we'll be able to just revive it again. So, I think that's going to be our best bet. Alternatively, we could have sent, Dramaturge or something. Albaz Dramaturge to summon a Brigand, maybe? That'd be kind of cool. If we went, Dramaturge, instead of the Albion play, we could summon Brigand, and then Brigand says our opponent cannot target our monsters with monster effects. So our Masquerades will be protected, which would be pretty cool. So it's just an option to think about. So anyways, let's do one more test hand and see how reliably we can get out our triple Masquerade, or at least double Masquerade with some kind of interruption. And our hand is opening, Radiant, Aluber, Shiren, and Polymerization. Okay, so we open the nuts. Again, this is going to be similar to how we already opened before, but let's go ahead and, yeah, let's normal summon the Aluber here. Search Branded Fusion. So the weakness of this deck is you don't really end with any follow-up, so you kind of just count on your Masquerades to win you the game. Masquerade is follow-up in itself and just a big body that can revive itself, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's not that great. Let's go ahead and use our Branded Fusion here. I was thinking of using the opening to summon a Tragedy, but it's not that good. Let's go Fusion. Let's just get Tragedy this way. Dumping Albaz and Tragedy for a Lubellion. Here's Lubellion. We'll go Lubellion 1, discarding the opening, Tragedy 2 to search our Dramaturge, probably. Search our Dramaturge, and then let's Fusion summon our first Masquerade. We'll shuffle back this and Tragedy into the deck here. And again, we could go for Mirror Jade here, but we're gonna just go for the triple mask instead. And the rest is going to be pretty straightforward. So we're gonna activate Poly, Fusion with Shiren and Dramaturge to summon another Masquerade. And then Dramaturge and Shiren will both activate. We can summon the Dramaturge and then shuffle back the Shiren and the Aluber for the, for the third Masquerade. So 3 Masquerade plus Dramaturge plus a Kaiju in hand. It's not like the best follow-up end board, but at least we have 3 Masquerades yet again. So we got triple Masquerade, what, 3 out of 4 test hands, right? So not too shabby. We'll take that. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of this build on a budget. I know it's not the most interactive, I'd say, but do note that when you are going second, Guardian Chimera is going to be a huge piece of what you're doing. So, you know, you can't really showcase that in test hands too much, but Guardian Chimera is very essential in having any chance of going second. Just using the Poly with any extra monsters in hand, your tier monsters will get effects, your Despia monsters will get effects, and you'll be able to pop and pop and draw, and your Guardian Chimera is going to be unaffected. Let's try to do like a quick going second test hand. Hopefully we open some kind of way to fuse. Yeah, okay, so going second, we draw all of this. Let's pretend that our Aluber actually resolves, and we can normal summon Aluber, and instead of going for Branded Fusion, we're going to go for Despian Theater of the Branded. Now we can activate Theater and use effect to fuse, and we'll use the Aluber, we'll use the Edge Imp Chain, and I mean honestly we could just use both Edge Imp Chains here, and then summon our Guardian Chimera, and then we get Edge Imp Chain Search, Guardian Chimera draw 2, so we'll go Edge Imp Chain, Chainlink 2 to search our Fright for Patchwork. We get to pop a card. Guardian Chimera is affected because there's no Poly in the grave, but we are going to be drawing 2 here. We draw into Branded in red. Now we can fuse with the Aluber, and I don't know. We have a lot of plays. Fright is going to search us more, Edge Imp Chain and Polymerization, so that's going to be nice. We just, there's a lot. Your hand just keeps growing. Going second when you have Guardian Chimera. Unfortunately, we didn't open any tier names. It would have been really cool to open a tier in that hand of 5 monsters, but we did not. But anyways, let me know what you guys think of this. Let me know in the comments, how do you like to play your budget branded build? Yeah, and we will catch you guys in the next one. We'll see you later. Thank you.